At the end of the year like this, go back and recognize the steps that you did take. No matter how small, no matter how big, giving yourself a little recognition, because I feel like after a year like this, everyone deserves a pat on the back. So.
You're listening to the Voiceover Casting Corner podcast. VCC is brought to you by the Voicecaster, the country's first and oldest voiceover casting house established in 1975. The Voicecaster casts thousands of voices every year across all genres, and we're excited to give you an inside look at the casting process direct from our casting team.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Voiceover Casting Corner. My name is Kelly Moshinsky, and I am the owner and head of casting at the Voicecaster.
And I'm Kathryn Horan. I'm the senior casting director here at the Voicecaster.
So today what we want to do is kind of an end of the year wrap up. It's that time of the year. So, the biggest thing is, how are you doing? This is when things get crazy, things slow down typically with the industry. But at the same time, it's like getting into December is when everybody gets really exhausted. It's like, I know for me, like my energy level is always lower. And, it's like, I always feel like I have to strive to make it to the end of the year and, keep going. And yeah, so it's just kind of acknowledging that it's kind of like, Kathryn, how do you feel at this time of the year?
It's always a mixed bag. It's either one of two things. It's either dead or it's the last minute crazy rush of, oh crap, everyone's out of town next week. We got to get everything done now. Or maybe it's both. Some days you'll have, maybe it's a quieter day and then the next day's insane. And all while trying to wrap things up here on our end as well and try to close up and reconcile our books for the end of the year and, trying to juggle all those balls.
All of the end of the year wrap up, it's like everybody listening, you're voice actors, you have your own small business, you know what it's like, or at least you should, you should be wrapping things up. But yeah, it really is very much like it's all or nothing this time of year, isn't it? It's like, it really is. It's like as soon as you start to think like, oh, it's quieting down. Okay. I can take a little break. I can take a breather. I can catch up on some stuff. That's when everything pours in and it's needed last minute. And, it's like, even this week we've been working on some rush projects and it's like, I will never forget the year I was on my honeymoon in New Zealand and I was literally casting on Christmas Day. It was Christmas Day there, so it wasn't Christmas Day here. But it was one of those things where it was like they needed it so last minute. And I was like, well, everything is closed because it's Christmas here. So here I am in a different country on my honeymoon working on a project.
There was that one year, it was like the Saturday. We were supposed to close that Friday and we all came in on a Saturday to do this last minute casting.
We did. We had so many actors and we had this, pre-COVID when everybody got to come in. And oh my gosh, yes. That ended up being a really fun day. Like we crammed everything into like a morning session and we had our whole team on board and like
just knocked it out.
We knocked it out. That was pretty awesome. Good times. So if you had to choose one word or phrase for the year, Kathryn, what would it be?
Unexpected. There were, because you go into every year, you expect certain things. Maybe you already have certain things planned, like a vacation or, I'm going to go see this concert or this play or, whatever. There's certain things you may know you're going to do, but then there's lots of unexpected things that happen too. And I feel like this year, good or bad, there were quite a few unexpected things that popped up.
So true. That's so true. That's such a great word. When I first started thinking about this, my word was expansion, because I feel like good and bad ways, things expanding, things changing, it's like we started all of the insiders membership, like things like that have expanded. And that was unexpected, so it's like, I love the word unexpected because man, that covers so much. And it's like, I go into each year with a word for the year. And my word this year was open. It's like, I was open to new opportunities. I was open to, it was like, I was just basically keeping an open mind about anything that kind of came up. It'll be different in 2026. So it's like, I don't think I might know what my word is for 2026, but I'll confirm that in a January episode. 'Cause I'm still making sure it's what I want, um, or what I feel like it's gonna be. So, yeah, let's just kind of talk about just the year kind of felt like overall on the casting
Mhm.
side. It's like with the growth of AI, which we'll talk about minimally, but it's like, what has things felt like this year?
I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like we did more union casting this year than we have in a while. I'd be curious
Yep.
to see, at the end of the year when you kind of see those things side by side if it's true, but it felt like we did more.
Yeah, when we check the percentages to see how
Mhm.
much union versus non-union. Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I feel like this year also, like the specs were a little more broad and like
Yes.
not broad on each project, but everything wasn't conversational. There was a
Fair.
lot more personality. There was a lot more like, things like that. I do feel like we had a lot of projects that were like any gender, any ethnicity,
Yeah,
20 to
I've seen that
60,
a lot,
where they were really broad. And
which
it's
is
like, okay,
cool, but yeah, sometimes it's like, that's a little too
it's
broad.
yeah, it's hard on the casting side to narrow
That's
that
how
down.
you end up
That's
with
that's when
2,000
you get a
auditions posted.
thousand.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when you get 1,000 auditions, and it's like,
like,
how do
anyone
we
and
narrow
everyone.
this down to
Yeah,
20? It's like, yeah, that can be a lot. But I
yeah.
feel like also the other thing that I was hoping would kind of go in the other direction is the fast turnarounds. I
Mhm.
was hoping as we exit the COVID era that we would maybe
Oh,
allow
you got
a
used
little
to
more
it.
time on the casting side, right? But
Mhm.
no, I think that really is like
I
everybody
feel
got used to just,
Yeah,
yeah, oh,
and
we can
it's
turn it
not
around in
just
2
us either.
hours.
I see it from agents for people coming
Mhm.
in for VO and Go. I feel like every other project says rush on it. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Whether or
it's
not it really
happening
is.
all over.
That's always the frustrating thing. You bust your butt to do it, and then they still take another 2 weeks to cast it.
Mhm. Mhm. Even a rush project that we just did is now like, "Oh, we're gonna record January 20th," and it's like,
Right. That's not a
"Then
rush
why
project.
couldn't then why couldn't we give people a couple days?" It's like yeah, everything so I feel like everything has been like rush, rush, rush,
Yeah.
which is not ideal for anyone, and it's like I try to, explain to people too that like it's not us. It's like we want time as
We're not
well.
just sitting on it, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the year is just like I feel like it just flew by, and then all the rush stuff, and like we were busier than ever, which is fantastic. It's like had a lot of agents and managers and even talent just being like, "Wow, you guys are on fire." It's like you guys constant,
Yeah,
constant, and it's like, yeah, and
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That also goes to show that human voiceover is
No.
not lost, it's still there, still
In
going strong.
demand. Yep.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear from listeners, what some of the things they thought might happen in the industry this year versus what actually did happen, because it's like things can change so fast. And it's like
Mhm.
even just the recent merger, of these big ad agencies combined and 4,000 people, lost their jobs. It's like there's a lot of that kind of stuff
Yeah, yeah, there's
happening,
the whole Warner Bros.
which
Netflix thing.
yeah,
And then,
yeah.
all
So
of this
it's
coming off all the strikes we've had too. The video game strike finally resolved.
yep,
Had the
yep,
actor strike the year before, so
yep. It's always like that thing at the end of the year where it's like, I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2025. It's like I had no idea that would happen. So it's so interesting. And I mean, and it happens with like specs and stuff too, because it's like we saw more of the humanness, the imperfections, the personality, and a lot of stuff. We saw a lot more announcer
mhm,
specs this past year too,
always fun.
and so that's always fun. Yeah, when we get to do this like variety of different
I
things,
always get excited when we get stuff for announcers or older actors because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, yay.
Yes,
These people finally
yes,
get a chance." Not
finally.
just
It's
20,
like
30 something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. As an actor, when you spend all this time training, it's like you spend all this time learning how to do what the final spot sounds like, talking on the commercial side. And I feel like this year has been so much of me and you in your class too, undoing the perfect reads. It's like literally like, great, you learned that, you know how to do that read. Now let's get back to the authenticity,
How
let's
to
get
sound
back
like a
to the
person. Yeah.
acting of voice acting. And so
Yeah.
I feel like that has been,
That's
just as far
hard. It
as,
sounds so
yeah.
easy.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hard. I think, yeah, you're right. Because a lot of the training you just kind of get it ingrained in you, and then to have to go against that is always tricky.
And you know what a commercial sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
You know what
anybody
you
can
want.
look at a commercial script and hear it in their head. So then you have to battle that to like, how can I bring myself to
Mhm.
this? How can I bring, my own opinions and my own point of view and all of that? And honestly, it's like that's what was booking this year. I don't know if you noticed the same thing, but it feels like the people who were ad-libbing and the people who really naturalized or made the choices and ran with it, I feel like those were the bookers this year.
Yeah. Have fun.
So
Yeah.
exactly. It's like the job's not yours. So it's like, what have you got to lose? That's what I always try to tell people. It's like, what do you have to lose? Just
Exactly.
just do it. Have some fun with it. If you're not having fun in this job, find a different job. I'd be curious to hear your thought on this. This is something that I was thinking about, is what do you think actors typically overthink
Everything.
versus what actually matters? Everything. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, trying to exactly fit what the spec is asking for,
Mhm.
or get bogged down in, is it word perfect? I'm like, oh, I
Yes.
got to redo that take because I said this word instead of that word. It's like, well, it means the same thing, or yeah, it's just little things that it's like, well, no one's going to listen to that. Nobody's paying attention that closely. They're just, because I know when we're listening to auditions, I'm not focusing on the script and oh, they got that word wrong.
Nope.
Like, if it's awfully wrong, yes, I'll notice, but just as long as you're in the flow, and it like that's what matters. The performance
Mhm.
is always gonna be more important than, did I take that pause at that comma, or did
Mhm.
I did I say
Yeah,
this word instead of that word?
I
Stuff like
agree.
that.
It's not
Don't
gonna
don't
make or
get
break
bogged down
anything.
on all the little minutia.
Mhm.
It's always about your performance, your connection with the script, and that's always gonna be what books you the job, not, "Oh, I said
Mhm.
this word wrong."
I totally agree. I think the other thing that I hear a lot of people talking about is like the editing side of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, do I edit out the breaths? Do I edit out the clicks? Do I edit
When
this?
we were at
Is this too big of
Yeah.
a space? What's a normal space here?
We were
And
at the
it's like,
Mid-Atlantic Voiceover Conference. I couldn't believe how many questions we got about that. And it's just,
yes,
guys, just stop. Make
yep.
sure you're at a decent level, that it's not too
Mhm.
quiet, that it's not, blown out. And, of course, edit out any pickups, but aside from that, just, it's a
Leave it
broadcast.
alone.
It has to be
Leave it
broadcast.
alone.
Yeah.
Right? It's simplify it. Simplify it for yourself, and
Stop
it
doing all
simplifies
this
it for
extra work that
us.
you don't need to do. Yeah, or when actors
So
come in and they go, "Oh,
overwhelmed.
if I had done this at home, this would have taken me 3 hours." I'm like, "What are you doing?" No.
Yep. Yep. And it's also, this kind of goes along with the editing, is, as far as knowing what those commercial reads sound like, I would also say be cautious of how your reads feel in the moment. If it feels connected, excellent. That's probably a good take. Don't listen back and then judge yourself on every little thing, because the version of you that's listening back is going to be like engineer director you, which means you're listening for the final spot.
Yeah.
And again, the final spot is not what books the job, So it's being connected and being in that moment and feeling that as you're recording it, not worrying about like, oh, I just had another click, or oh, that was a really big breath. I need to remember to edit that out.
And we're always gonna be our own harshest critics, so stuff that stands out to me that drives me bonkers, other people are like, "What are you talking about?" I get that
Mhm.
with people with their demos when they're like, "Oh, does this word sound funny? Did I say this?" I'm like, "You sound fine. Like, what are you I don't
Mhm.
even hear what you're talking about." So yeah, you're your own worst critic. So yeah, that's another reason. Like, don't. Don't ever edit, don't ever analyze stuff because you're hearing stuff and picking out things that nobody else is noticing.
That should be just a rule in life. You will always be your own worst critic. Everything that you do. All right. So another thing that I want to kind of address, because I feel like this is always an issue, but it felt a little more prominent this year for some reason, and that's the silence.
Mhm.
It's like, especially, we are in the day and age of voiceover where you are self-directing, you are doing everything from home. It's like you're doing sessions from home, you're your own director, engineer, actor, all of that. And as you're doing this all the time, every day, you're faced with that silence, and that silence can kill. It's deadly. No callbacks, no feedback, not, just not hearing anything. That kind of silence that's hard.
That's why, everyone says if you want to be an actor, you have to have a thick skin. You've got to be able to get through these times and just have that confidence. Don't let it get you down. And also this is an industry that ebbs and flows. You're going to have busy periods and slow periods, and it's not always the same time from year to year. It used to be a little more predictable, but definitely in the last 5-10 years, just like with on camera, there's not really a pilot season anymore. So there will be times when you get a slew of auditions, and then you might not get anything for a few weeks. And then you're going to get inundated again. And you'll be like, wait a minute, where'd all this come from? Just got to be able to pivot and just ride the wave.
Yeah,
Go wherever the things take you.
exactly. It is very much a ride the wave kind of industry, because it can be so unpredictable.
And even
Unpredictable is another good
yeah,
word of the year.
right.
Unexpected, unpredictable.
And we'll have actors that do, well, they'll book and they start booking, and you're feeling great. You're like, all right, I finally got the handle of this, and then you stop booking. Oh no, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, it's not you, just that streak ended.
Mhm.
Maybe it'll come back again, maybe it won't, maybe you'll book a job here and there. You just gotta, that's why we say your job is auditioning,
Mhm.
not the booking per se, it's the auditioning. So you've got to enjoy doing that part of it.
Yep. Yeah, one of my things is control the controllable. You can only control so much. So control what you can. That control comes in your performance, what you're delivering, what you're putting out into the world. You can't control anything else once you hit send and you send that audition off into the world. So, silence doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're doing everything wrong. Honestly, it doesn't mean anything. It's just part of it. It's just
Silence.
literally part of the industry. It's part of this business.
Right. And enjoy those slow times too, because there's going to be those times when it's just crazy busy, and you're going to wish for those slower moments.
Yep.
So it's just as hard as it can be, uncomfortable as it might get, try to
Hmm.
enjoy it. Take that
Yes.
time to do those other things. Maybe that's a good time to take some classes you've been wanting to take, or to
Mhm.
get that demo made you've been meaning to do. You take advantage of the slower times.
It's finding a way to be okay when you're uncomfortable, and finding a way to be okay with uncertainty, because that's a huge part of this job. Yeah, not easy, but it's hard. All right. So obviously that's a difficult thing, and we were talking about, how actors overthink things and things like that. But let's talk about what we have seen a lot of talent do
Mhm.
amazing this year.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people take more chances. When they're doing their auditions, they are, taking a bigger swing, trying things that might be slightly more unconventional. And I'm not talking about just weird for weird's sake, but stuff that's like, all right, good for them, getting out of their comfort zone a little bit more.
A lot of what I've seen, and I mean, this is coming from just actors that we work with, our 30-day BAM challenge, and like our insiders, my mastermind, like all of that. I feel like I have seen people rounding out their careers more, which has been really cool, because so often we focus on the performance aspect of it, which obviously is super important, but there's also the business side of it. And
Mhm.
a lot of times you don't necessarily get to really work on the business side of it. And I feel like a lot of people have really started, whether it's direct marketing or just, branding or social media or, all the things that being an actor now entails.
Yeah.
It's not just acting, it's everything else. You're a content creator now and all of that. I feel like I've seen some people do some pretty awesome stuff on the business side too, which has been really cool. Even I'm over here taking notes like, oh, that's cool. What a great idea. Awesome
Right.
job. And it's like, that's a lot of work that doesn't get recognized. You
Yeah.
don't get applause
Works.
for
Yeah,
that,
you don't notice
so
it in the background. People
so
don't talk about it. So,
exactly, exactly. So kudos to all of you out there who are doing the work on the business side too,
mhm.
the unglamorous side, and
Right.
it's like me and Kathryn know how that goes. We get the fun, creative side. We also have the business side,
Yep.
so it's like we have a mix in our daily schedules. So, it's one of those things where make sure, especially at the end of the year like this, go back and recognize the steps that you did take, no matter how small, no matter how big. It's like giving yourself a little recognition because people on the outside don't see all of that. So, just make sure you give yourself a pat on the back. Feel like after a year like this, everyone deserves a pat on the back. So you made it to the end of the year. uh, so from your perspective, Kathryn, any surprises this year?
I think one of the big highlights of the year, not a surprise per se, but our 50th anniversary party and just
Mhm.
all the people that came out. It was so cool seeing Bob Lloyd there, other
Mhm.
people that had worked here throughout the years, just actors, throughout the decades that had been, a
Amazing.
part of Voicecaster or who were impacted by Voicecaster in one way or another. That was really cool. Like just to see those
Yeah.
people and, to all be in a room together. That was,
Yeah.
just the connections and just, yeah, that was just to
A
see
room
that
of
legacy,
a room of 400, right? Like that
right?
that is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, yes, people see our auditions come through. They see our name on the letterhead and stuff like that. But to have people fly into Los
Right?
Angeles just to
Yeah,
be there to
travel,
celebrate 50 years like that, that's humbling, like
right?
that's wow, like
Just that
thank you.
turnout
That
was
that
huge. Yeah.
support is amazing.
Mhm.
And it was just so awesome to see all those people,
Yeah.
it's like
Really realize what a legacy this company has had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
easy to forget about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that was only a few months ago. But my
And it
gosh,
was
it
just
feels
in
like it
August.
was so long ago.
It feels like forever.
We're going into year 51, which is great. Yeah. So let's kind of look ahead. Let's look at 2026. Like, is there anything that you're expecting to happen or change this year? I know it's a hard question. It's hard to predict. And in fact, in a year from now, we're going to be doing our 2026 wrap up and be like,
Mhm.
I wonder what we predicted last year. But
Right.
it's like like personally, I feel like AI regulations are going to get stronger. Thank you,
Mhm.
Nava. It's like we're gonna keep fighting that good fight. The humanness of voiceover is only gonna get stronger. Stronger community.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we're seeing that already with almost 200 members in the Voicecaster Insiders membership community.
Mhm.
And it's like I feel like kind of as a whole in the voiceover world, it's like
Yes.
there's a really good community, and it's like we
And I
are
feel
so lucky to have so many great members, and like there's more people out there, that are
definitely.
fantastic. And
And I feel
yeah.
like, yeah, because we had that, the shutdown with COVID 5, 6 years or 5 years ago. And just, yeah, it took a little bit for people to get back out and to start reconnecting and making those connections again. And I feel like
Yeah.
we've finally gotten to a place where I'm seeing a lot more of, you know, groups coming together, people networking outside of classes and, you know, people
Hmm.
putting on get-togethers. And that's
Yeah.
really cool to see.
Yeah, and that's something that we're talking about continuing, is doing maybe a mixer or two a year, and just getting
Mhm.
people out of their booths and
Just
just
Yeah.
yeah, doing things. And yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it. And, actors, it's a big part of it, accountability. It's getting to know other people.
Yeah.
It's
It helps
networking,
in
but
the
not in a gross way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you never know where those things are gonna lead you, you never know where that job's gonna come from or,
Yeah.
where a path is gonna take you down, so it's always
At
good
our
to.
mixer in October, I had a couple people who were like, "Oh, and I connected with this person at your mixer, and this is what
Yeah,
happened," and things like that. And I'm like, "That's amazing." It's like,
you do use
I
those
didn't
things.
facilitate any of that. People just showed up and they talk. It's like people connect, and
Mhm.
that's
And
huge.
how
And talking about control the controllables, like that's
Yeah.
something that you can control. So it's like, so do that. Great. It's like show up to mixers, to webinars, it's like keep working on your craft, keep working on your business, keep working on building community, all of that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that you can actually do. And I am going to just say, like, a word of warning, because we are going into the new year, is, well, two things. One, don't feel like you have to do everything by the end of the year. Like, life doesn't just magically reset on January 1st. It's like it keeps going. And the other thing is, don't feel like you have to set these huge, big, lofty goals starting January 1st. It's like, keep your goals, keep working on the things that moves the needle forward every day, and like, you're in a good place. This
And it's
A
and it's
lot of
okay to
people put
change
pressure
goals
on.
too. Yeah.
Yep,
You're
always.
not a failure if you didn't do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes things morph and change, and that's
Yeah.
okay too.
I actually just talked about that the other day on my Creative Imperfections podcast. It was literally that, where it's, don't stress if you decide, like, that's not what I want anymore. You are
Exactly.
allowed to change what you want.
That's an
So
important realization too.
it really is. It really is. Well, thank you all for joining us for another year, our second year now of Voiceover Casting Corner. That's pretty crazy. We'll keep it going, of course, in the new year, bringing more guests, more topics,
Mhm.
all those kinds of things. Always let us know if there's something that you have questions about, or you
Yeah.
wanna.
Any topics you wanna hear us discuss?
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. Friendly little reminder as we sign off. I just want to say that a quiet year doesn't mean it was a wasted year. It's progress is not always loud. You are making progress by all the little things that you're doing. So I said it earlier, but give yourself a pat on the back. Recognize all the amazing things that have happened this year. Try to find the amazing things that happened this year, because I know a lot of people are like, this year sucked and I'm ready for the next. Find some of the good. It's like that helps moving into the next year as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next year on Voiceover Casting Corner.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye.
Catch a new VoiceOver Casting Corner episode every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Be sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow us at The Voicecaster on social media. Thanks for listening.